Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street, presented by Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Here is Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel, Gary Vickery, and I'm your host, Lisa Melmed. We are back. How are you, Jonathan?
Good to be with you, Lise. We're missing Gary today.
Yes.
We're back on the podcast. We're committed to doing many, many more episodes. We've got some great guests lined up, and we're getting towards our 100th episode. I can't believe we've been doing this for 100 episodes, but the content's good, the people like it, and the feedback's fun. So what can we do?
3 years, 100 episodes.
It's not bad.
2 years. 3 years.
No, 3 years.
3 years.
3 years, yeah.
What an exciting couple weeks we've had here at the Plaza. First of all, the carousel bar looks incredible.
You know, I'm getting more and more excited. I was in there on Saturday night, and I'm like, this thing feels like a real bar now. And actually, I'm not taking credit for this at all, but it's way better than I even imagined it could be. Like when I was telling people about it, they're like, nah, you're going to change the front of the hotel. I'm not so sure about it. Now when I look at it and I see it coming together and the elements, and there's still a lot more elements to go in. And this morning there's a giant sign there removing the pink box at the Plaza sign to make way for the whole new entrance that is either you love it or you hate it. That's okay, just keep talking about it. And the bar is really coming together. The smoke-free casino is got its shell in, and everything looks good there. The patio looks good, but the bar is really a wow factor.
It's really cool. It's a lot cooler than I thought it would be too.
That's what I'm going to hear a lot of, and I think people as they walk by are like, this thing is good.
Like, even the rendering looks so cool, but this is like so much cooler.
It looks like it was always meant to be there, and that's the biggest compliment you can give to an addition.
That's
it was always
exactly
meant to be there. It is cool, and we're getting close to the opening. So hopefully May 10th we got the bar open, and then I think we're saying June 10th we'll do a grand opening of the donut store, Pink Box, the bar, the casino, and the patio. So June 10th, mark the date. Come and join us down here for some fun.
Party.
It's gonna be hot, but good.
It is gonna get hot. Okay, so you have some interesting casino guests here.
Yeah, over the years, you mean?
Over the years, but one in particular
yes.
comes to mind. You allowed a parrot to come bet at the Plaza.
Yes. So I was in England, and a friend of mine, a brother-in-law, Ed Gold, said to me, hey, I have a friend who does videos on YouTube and this sort of more prankster style fun stuff. But he has an idea that he thinks he wants to see if a parrot can predict roulette better than a human. So I said, okay. He's like, but no casino will let him bring the parrot in. So I said, I thought about it, and I said, what does he need? And so he put me in touch with this guy. He gave me the information, and my first call was to my gaming attorney, and I said, hey, can I let a parrot come in here and choose numbers on the roulette wheel? And at first he thought I was joking, and he sort of ignored me, and then I said, no, I'm being serious. I want to bring a parrot. And he said, he thought about it. He's like, I can't think of any reason why you can't, but the only thing you got to make sure is it's not the parrot's money. It has to be the player's money. The player has to say it's his money, because there can't be any dispute over the fact that the parrot lost the money.
Mm-hmm. What if the parrot got taxed and it was his money?
So when the guy came in, his name's Max Fosh, he came in and he said, this is what I want to do. And I told him, okay, is it your money? He said, yeah. I said, well, take the bets. And he brought a parrot in, and the parrot was shaking his head, I guess, for yes, nodding for no, whatever it was. And the video's on, what's the thing?
It's on YouTube. It's Max Fosh's YouTube page. I hired a talking parrot to bet for me in Las Vegas. And it was posted yesterday at the time of recording, and there's already 727,000
It's insane.
Views.
It's insane. Well, how 727,000 people have watched this video?
Well, he has 1.85 million subscribers.
Right. My wife watched it, and she was like, what on earth are you doing at work?
You are amazing in it. Like, is it your money or the parrot's money?
Why are you allowing people to come in with parrots and gamble? It's a first, but you know what? That's why I love the Plaza. That's why I love downtown. We can try things other people don't want to try, and 727,000 eyeballs on me, the Plaza, our brand. It's great, and maybe more people will come out of the woodwork. And
the parrot did a really good job. Maybe we should.
The parrot. So I swear this is a true story. The parrot went 8-0 on red and black in a row. He got it right 8 in a row, and I started to think there was like a scam or something was going on here, because I'd never seen anyone go 8-0 on red and black, and then the guy wasn't betting as much as he probably wishes he was. And then when he started betting more, the parrot went to crap. And the parrot lost everything. And then he lost all the money. And then he went again on a big a double or quits, basically. And he won one. So it was fun, but the parrot definitely had no skill.
Well, very cool. Speaking of fun bets.
Yes.
Today, we have a very special guest. We're joined by a legend.
He was one of the best-known bookmakers on the Strip and is a sports betting Hall of Famer. Welcome, Johnny Avello, to On the Corner of Main Street.
Thank you, guys. That previous conversations is just great to hear. The parrot, maybe that was Jimmy Buffett. I was thinking maybe he was the one behind the parrot, and it reminds me of my days in the book when I was working at Bally's. Mario Diaz was a newscaster for sports for Channel 13. He wanted me to go against his cat for Monday Night Football selections, and the cat beat me.
Really?
The cat beat.
How did the cat choose?
He had to go to
like
either
litter
A or
box,
B.
where you pick your food out of the box, right?
Exactly.
So this is nothing new, this animal, parrot, cat betting.
Yeah, but the cat beat me. This parrot lost.
That's true.
Right, exactly.
Cats are smarter than parrots.
Cats are smarter than parrots. It's the takeaway from all this thing. If a guy came up to you at the book with a parrot on his shoulder and said the parrot's making a pick, what would you have said?
I would have said, is he betting the Cardinals? Is he betting the Redbirds? Is he betting the Orioles?
That's funny.
Very nice.
funny.
Well, thank you for joining us down here today. I
welcome.
know it's been a few years since you were in downtown Vegas, and you've been all over the town. So I'm honored to have you here. Not just in terms of sports betting, but just the fact that you've been in Vegas for so long is pretty amazing.
Yeah, 44 years. Started my career right across the street at Hotel Nevada. And it's been with Jackie gone. Been a long time. I've seen a lot of changes down here.
In sports betting or in another field?
No, table games.
You were in dealing?
I learned how to deal all the games in New York City. I went to a management class, learned all the games. Intentions were to come out here and be part of the casino pit. And things changed for me.
But why was there teaching people how to deal cards in New York? There's no, unless it was for Atlantic City. Is that what it was? Or why were they teaching people in New York how to deal cards?
That's interesting. My intentions were to go from that school to Resorts International, which was the only casino in Atlantic City, but they wouldn't accept anybody out of the school. They wanted you to go to their own school in Atlantic City. So I had to switch gears and come out here. But the premise, the guy that ran the school's name was Bobby Ayub. He was a shift manager, or I hired a GM probably down here at the Fremont Hotel. And so he was just starting, this gambling school, and thought he could get people to maybe he had a bigger vision that gambling was going to be throughout the entire country, which it is. But I came out here and never left.
What year was that when you came out here?
79, January.
Oh wow! But when you were in New York, did you have like a field in like math, or what were you doing that made you want to get into this?
Yeah, I'm really good at math. That's true. But I also worked at, I shouldn't say it, but some illegal.
Everyone did. That's what I wanted to get to. When we had Joe Asher on. When we had Joe Asher, I was like, everyone was doing some backroom stuff in New York.
Yep.
So what was it?
I was dealing dice and 21 and some illegal games back in New York.
Okay.
And I'm really lucky because one of those games got busted on a week where I did not show up. And so if I was there and there's a chance I would maybe never got licensed and wouldn't be able to come to town here. So
Wow.
yeah, I consider myself very fortunate.
Were they like in people's basements, or was it where do these illegal games take place?
That's still happening now, I'm sure, somewhere.
No, they weren't in basements. They would rent out an area, and people would come. Of course, people would find out, and cops didn't know about it normally. But and if you keep doing it enough, you're going to get busted, and that's what ended up happening.
Yikes.
What was Vegas and specifically downtown like in '79?
Well, cars used to ride up and down the street.
Yeah.
If I worked after I worked for Jackie at the Hotel Nevada, I went to the Western. I also worked at the Hotel International over here.
Okay.
And I also worked at the Mint. And the Mint was an interesting job because I would just go next door to the Horseshoe and drink 50-cent beers, and it was
cheap
different.
steak.
I would go cheap steak. I would go over to the bar and I'd say, "How come my blood's on the floor?" And they tell me, "Well, a security guard shot somebody in here last night." So yeah,
gosh.
it was a little different.
But the Mint wasn't owned by Jackie. That was a different company.
Yeah, the Mint was actually owned by, I believe, Del Webb. Yeah, owned the Mint. Yeah, and then of course the Horseshoe bought out the Mint. And
So for anyone that is new to our podcast or hasn't listened to episode 1, but Jackie Gorn is like a role model of mine, somebody that I had the fortune of meeting early on in my days here, but only maybe less than 3 times. And he's someone that his son is someone I look up to greatly, but he's someone that I wanted to be like in terms of operating this business. And we bought his portfolio. I say we, but Tamara's bought his portfolio in 2005, and that included all the places you work that you said, from Hotel Nevada to the Westin to the Plaza, Las Vegas Club, Gold Spike. And so we bought all of that except for the El Cortez in 2005. But what was it like working for him? And did you get to know him well? Any stories about him? Anything about him that stands out?
I loved working for him, and I went on and ended up working for Michael too. I worked for Michael at the Barbary Coast, and Michael's Kenny Epstein was there, and some of the other guys, Toady. They all had a piece what was the fence guy's name?
Tiberti. He was just in here the other night with Michael.
Yeah.
He came in for dinner the other night.
I spoke to him within the last couple of years. Yeah, and so that was a fun place to work. Now I also was dealing table games there. I was not in the book there. Jimmy Vaccaro was running the book, and Muggsy Muniz was running the race side. And the great part about the Barbary Coast was I met some of my best friends there at that property who are still really good friends of mine today.
Yeah.
But those guys used to sweat the money. Oh, my God. They used to change stickmen, change your shoes, change your underwear, whatever you could change, they would do it. But, it was a great place to work. And, those guys, Michael learned from Jackie, of course, and I consider the Gons to be some of the best operators in town. They just give you a real fair shake for your buck.
Just taking care of people.
Yes, right.
And they know how to do it. They knew how to bet not just customers, their own team.
Yes,
that's what's so magical
exactly
about
right.
them. It's just taking care of those people. But did you ever come over to the Plaza? Because wasn't the book at the Plaza the first and best or first of its kind?
Yep, the Plaza was an early book. I did come in the Plaza, and when I came in today, it looked so different. I couldn't even remember where some of the things used to be.
Right.
But yeah, I used to come down to Plaza here, gamble a little bit, and play a little bit of Keno. I see you guys still have Keno.
We still got live Keno.
Yeah, not many
we
people
still got
have
live
that
Keno.
anymore.
Yeah. It's amazing actually when you think about it that it's still going, and it's people like it. People like it. There's not a lot of it in town. Similar to bingo, we still do bingo here, which I didn't show you the bingo room, but
I think what happened to Keno was that it was $50,000 payout at one time, went to 100, then it went even a little bit higher. But then Megabucks came into town, and Megabucks was offering $1 million payouts, and so I think that was the demise of Keno. That's why the Keno had fallen off. Now I'm glad to see you're still keeping it, and some of the
there's a couple
probably still keeping it, but.
Yeah.
And then my wife when we first came to town, my wife was actually a Keno writer at the Sahara, and they used to do it with the brush. And then you didn't get the payoffs. You had to figure the payoffs out yourself. So
that must have been easy.
Yeah. Oh, and it was difficult because there's some guys who used to play all these way tickets.
So then at what point from there did you transition to sports?
I transitioned to sports in 85. I was... some of my friends were in the sportsbook business, and it's actually a better fit for me, and because of my background. Started going to the racetrack when I was 5 years old. I was betting with the bookie when I was 15 years old. So I knew the space. Now, I didn't know it in the corporate world, but I knew the space.
So you must have appreciated when I told you earlier that I was betting when I was 14 on dogs and going down in England.
Yes.
Speaking of illegal...
It's illegal activities. Yeah.
Oh, so then I went to the West, which is now the Westgate. That was the Hilton.
Yeah.
I just started at the very bottom again, learned the business, wrote tickets.
Right, ticket writer. Help me understand something. In 85, you said, so there wasn't technology. What were they writing on? Handwritten tickets?
Handwritten tickets were just getting phased out. And
really?
Then we did have a system to produce the tickets. But handwritten tickets were part of that.
Because I think it was Jimmy Vaccaro told me the story of how back in the day they didn't have the tech, right? So everyone was writing tickets,
right.
But you had no idea what they were betting on. So it was taking time to figure out. Everyone was betting on one fighter, and then you didn't get all the bets till later on to see if your exposure was balanced or where you were at later on in the day.
And the way they became legit is that we would have a stamp machine. So
Then
write
it
the
could read
ticket,
it.
stamp the machine. That's how we did it.
Yeah.
Until a friend of ours, Jimmy's cousin, is a friend of mine, Jimmy Mastriani. He was running the book at the Royal Inn, and somebody did a posted him on a ticket, and threw it behind the counter, and it was paid like $100,000. But they did not. They were able to refute that bet and not have to pay it.
For people that don't know, Lisa, pass posting. It's when you place a bet after the event's started or finished. Does it matter as long as it's after the events?
No, once the event has started.
Once it started, it's pass posting.
Yes.
Yeah. Once it's finished, then you just got a
can.
guaranteed winner. If someone wants to take that bet, you're good.
Yeah, that's right.
So at the Las Vegas Hilton, and then you moved to Bally's?
Yep. No. Las Vegas Hilton. Then I went to the Sands in '86, and I was a supervisor at the Sands until '89. Then I went to Bally's at that point. And I learned a lot at the Sands. We were doing things at the Sands that you actually can't do today. And that was, as a supervisor, I would also write tickets. I would also be an admin. I learned all aspects of the business that way. Now the gaming board says, you're not going to be a supervisor and write tickets, and you're not going to be able to be an admin, because an admin can actually go in and post scores. So things have changed.
Is that more game protection? That's
Game
just protection for
Absolutely
the
protection.
industry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy. What was Sands like? What was working at the Sands like? Who was in charge there?
A guy named Bobby Grigorka. Bobby came over because the Sands was sold. Now, this wasn't the old Sands, the Sands was just sold, and so they were trying to get their book going, and Bobby knew about me, and so he brought me over to work with him. And we had to work hard there. There were some other books out there, and we had to get people to come to our book. Why would you come to the Sands book when there's these other Stardust and some others you can go to?
Right.
So we had to offer things like 10% bonus on Wynn bets and horse racing. We had to come up with some creative content.
You were doing promos back then even.
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
Yes, we were. So, and then I went to Bally's from '89, middle '89, all the way to 2005, and then from Steve would work with Steve at the Wynn from 2005 to 2018.
Oh, that's when it opened.
Yeah.
You were there from opening.
The guy that opened it was Vinny Magliula. I don't know if you know Vinny.
No.
He actually opened it, and he left quickly, and he asked me if I would come in.
And he
they
took you
approved
from
it.
Where? From Bally's. He brought you over from Bally's?
Bally's.
You were the director of race and sports operations at Bally's and at Wynn.
Correct. Actually, I went to executive director at Wynn.
Oh, nice.
So Steve personally poached you? He knew you from prior?
He did. The gentleman that poached me was John Stremp. John Stremp has a long history in town here as CFO and VP of operations. So John was at Wynn. So I had a few meetings with John. If you know John's history at all, he is a gambler, knows the space well. Played Stewie Younger in the final table of the World Series of Poker.
Nice.
So, John was the kind of guy that John would say to me, what is a 3-team teaser true odds? And I'd tell him, true odds would be 4.2. He'd say, no, 4.26. I mean, so John knew every number. You weren't going to put anything
Doesn't it
over
matter
it.
how many points? Doesn't it depend on how many points you're taking in the teaser?
Yes, yeah, it does. But, John, he was a great guy to work for. He's now out of the business also.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like those detailed guys. That's
Yes.
fun.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
So you must have seen some huge bets at the Wynn.
Big ones.
What was the biggest? Do any of them stand out to you?
Took quite a few $1 million bets, mostly on, Super Bowl. That's when the guys would come in. I remember
In cash.
Play $1 million. Were you like, are you sure you want to do this?
No, I didn't say. I would ask him questions like, this one guy came in and bet the Patriots for $1 million. Now he had the money wired in, so we took the $25,000 chips. There were what was that? That's 40 chips. Brought him over to the sports book. He made the bet on the Patriots. That was the Patriots playing Seattle.
Did they win?
Seahawks.
Did they lose?
Well, I'll tell you how to
They, no, you don't know. That's the only Super Bowl I've ever been to. That's the one I was at, where Marshawn Lynch should have ran it on the 1 yard line, and he didn't
Correct.
run it.
Yeah.
And
They
the
lost?
Patriots won.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, for the player, not for Johnny.
Well,
Oh, sorry. I mean, that's terrible.
I did say to the player afterwards, I said, why did you make that bet? And he said, I actually had a dream about that last night. And I said, well, your dream was actually my nightmare.
But I mean, it doesn't hurt you specifically to pay out the bets, or how does it work?
What are you talking about?
Like, I don't know. It's not.
You think it doesn't hurt me when we have a guy win?
But then you think about
hundreds
the publicity that you get when something big like that happens.
All true. It is
Yeah,
all
people have to win. At the end of the year, your win should be around the percentage that you're set out to. So you're right. It's blended into everything else. Plus, you probably had people betting Seattle.
That's right.
But still painful.
We
I
still
get it.
ended up
Yeah.
making maybe 500,000-600,000 that day, so it still was an okay day. We wrote a lot of volume at Wynn. I mean, we did. We had a lot of big customers. So yeah, he may have bet $1 million, but there were other guys betting 100,000, 200,000 on the opposite side.
That really is my question, and I've always wondered this about the Wynn. So you're the guy to talk to, but us guys, a lot of us guys downtown, like the Plaza or whatever, we if you're a single property, you pretty much don't run your own book. There's just not the volume to run your own book. And I can't really think of anyone, and you'll correct me, I'm sure on this, that's a single operator in town that's running their own book. The Westgate would be the only one that comes to mind at this point. But they were actually the Superbook at the other places before they were the Westgate, right? I mean, the Superbook's built its own brand. Mm-hmm. But what was it like running your own book, and was it more difficult than having not having the liquidity from other locations?
Well, I ran my own book at Bally's also.
Okay.
Yeah, when you run your own book, you sometimes when the decision to take a big bet like that, that's going to be your whole month.
Right.
But with the volume at Wynn, at Bally's we had good volume and we couldn't take those size bets. I mean, we took some good size bets there, $100,000 bets, a couple $100,000 bets, but at Wynn, we would pretty much almost take anything that anybody would come in. I don't remember refusing many bets.
Really?
Yeah. Now, when I say that, I was very aware of who the sharp bettors are. And the sharp bettors would get limits. I would never, if my limit was 2,000 on the NBA, 2,000 or 3,000, then anybody could come in and bet 2,000 or 3,000. I never told sharp bettors, you can have 200 on a game, or
right.
I always gave them the fair bet, the house limit. But for others, casino players, guys who we recognize as VIPs, we would give them a much bigger bet.
So that's the $1 million player. They were recognized within the casinos, as table games players or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then they're coming and betting sports for fun.
Yep, and they didn't have to be $1 million players.
No, I mean the $1 million bet you took on Super Bowl.
Yes, that
is a player presumably.
You're
not taking $1 million from a shop.
No.
On the Super Bowl.
Although I probably would, I don't think anybody knows anything on the Super Bowl. I mean, you get to the couple, 2, 3, 4 days before the Super Bowl. If you think you know something on the Super Bowl, then if you're fooling me.
I will interrupt to tell you that I was in the Wynn, one of those beautiful suites on the Encore, that Patriots-Seattle game. Oh. And there was about $100,000 worth of bets in that room, in that suite that night. And then when that interception hit on the goal line, you could hear the moans downtown.
It was better. It was probably better that game to watch on TV because there were so many insane plays that when you're in the stadium, it's actually hard to see what's happening. It's happening so quickly, and if you're on TV, that was a great game. That was crazy.
I agree with you watching the games on TV. I just went to the last 2 Super Bowls. Work, of course.
Exactly.
But I enjoy the games probably more watching them in a room with people, or even that ambiance of the book itself. Because when plays happen, the room goes nuts, and there's nothing like that camaraderie among, the players in the room. So I always find that's more exciting.
So there was a lot of volume at the Wynn book, not just from the casino guests. There was just people, because let's be real, it's the best property in Vegas. It has the most foot traffic. Steve ever sweat you on any of the action?
Not really.
No?
No. He would call me to find out decisions on where we stand on Super Bowl. Where do we stand on this game? And I would let him know where we stood when the game went off, but he would ask me in the morning.
Yeah.
He might ask me on a NCAA championship game. But for the most part, no.
Did you ever have to call him for permission on a bet?
No, that's not who I would call.
Okay.
No, I would call John, my boss,
Yeah.
John Strimp.
You know, when you lose a lot of money in the casino, you can sometimes get like a percentage back.
It doesn't really happen much anymore. It happens like on certain games, but yeah, okay.
Does that ever happen with sports betting? If someone loses a ton of money, do they ever come and say, "Oh my God, I lost too much money. Can I please have a little bit back?"
They may ask, but it's not happening.
No, the margins are pretty small in sports betting. You don't want to be giving. You don't want to be giving it back there.
Well, we heard a story from Les.
Well, yeah, but hold on. So I hadn't met Johnny before. Even though I'm a sports bettor. No, not at that level that I would have been on Johnny's radar. But I hadn't met Johnny before, and a friend of mine called Les connected me with Johnny a few weeks ago, and then that's how Johnny and I got connected. And Les is a sports bettor, whatever. He's at the Wynn every single day, and so he knew Johnny, and that's how we got connected. So Les told you a story the other day in the office. Is that what you're going to say?
Yes. About someone coming in with a duffel bag with $500,000 in cash, betting on Vanderbilt in South Carolina. Do you remember this?
I do.
And he lost both bets for $250,000 each.
Yep.
What do you say to a person who loses 500?
I think Les was more impressed by the fact that an unknown walks off the street, or maybe you knew him, I don't know, and were willing to take that kind of action, $250 on each game, on an NCAA game, and Les in no ways would any other operator but you have taken that action, and I don't know if you agree with that or not.
No, well, it's nice to be in a property like that where you have good volume.
Yeah.
And so we can say yes to that, because if we lost both bets, it's $500,000. That's fine. You know, we'll make it up the next day, next month, whatever. Smaller properties don't have that luxury. So that's the nice part about working in a property like that. I also had a guy come in once with a bag, with a duffel bag with, I think he had $250,000, and he made a bet for $50,000. And then the duffel bag disappeared. And so we found that duffel bag later on in the evening, because we've got, had Metro involved and everybody else. But somebody actually, a worker from Wynn actually took it.
Oh, really?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I had a lot of duffel bag stories.
Where does everyone get all these duffel bags from?
Got to carry the cash somehow. There's a show I just watched by there called Catching Lightning. They robbed a bank for in the UK for $53 million, an ex-UFC fighter. Where do you put the $53 million? They filled up the lorry and took it out of the thing. Obviously, they all got caught. But I mean, there's a lot of cash out there. You need a lot of duffel bags for that cash.
Oh my gosh.
But Les really said that you were special,
Yeah.
and I guess maybe you got this from the Gorns, because you took care of the people.
Mm-hmm.
You took care of everyone. You shook their hands. You knew them. You gave them a fair gamble. It's kind of what you just said about the Gorns, but maybe that's where you got it from, and that's what made the Wynn book so special and made the bigger players want to go there.
I learned that at an early age in this business. I worked when I worked downtown here, I kind of saw the way a lot of the shift managers handled the customers, handled the workers, and I did not like that, the way they handled them. So that kind of molded me for the way I wanted to handle customers and fellow workers. So always been fair with all my workers. I made it a point every day in the book to spend at least an hour or more down in the room, talking to everybody in the room and any concerns. I was down there a lot when it was really busy, moving the lines along, making sure everybody got their bets in. So that's what I miss about the business, is being in there with the people that have come into the book, not only to bet, but actually to see me and my staff. I had a great staff there. I really did. They were some of the best ticket writers that I've ever had, and handled the customers with kid gloves. So I've been fortunate to have a lot of good people work around me.
It's what I tell Lisa as well and some of the team here, but it's no point being in an office from 9 to 5. That's not our business. That's not what we do. They were all here Saturday night. We had a big casino event. You want to be out on the floor on a Saturday night or every day for 45 minutes to an hour to 2 hours, shaking hands, meeting people, getting to them. That's what our business is. And trying to teach people that is not so easy. But once they do it, they realize that actually that's the time to be here and the time to be present. And see with the work you're doing during the week, how it's working on the customers.
I think, that all starts in the hiring process. Culture. It's about the culture. DraftKings does a great job with the culture of the team. Be involved in a lot of the community activities. Help your fellow worker. I mean, and then when you hire people, I think you need to look for that, and I think you need to hold them accountable for that. That's really important. I mean, as a team, you want that cohesiveness. You want it to flow. You want everybody to feel good about coming to work.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about DraftKings in a minute, but speaking about culture and people, people are fascinated by Steve Wynn, and he's obviously a legend in town. Is there anything that he did with you that stood out, that made you think like, wow, this guy's brilliant? You told me a great story earlier about how he perceived shows when other shows were dropping their prices. He said, raise ours so that we look like we're popular, which is genius, especially if it works. But is there anything that he did that stood out to you that made him great in terms? Because I think he built a great culture there, from what I could tell, in terms of the people. Is there anything else that stood out to you that he did?
He's pretty hard on the management staff, but really good to the frontline workers.
Yeah.
He expected a lot from his team. When we built that book over there, which I think is still one of the nicest books in town, we spent a lot of time on that, trying to put it together, the right time to build it. And the book plus the bar, the semicircle bar overlooking the book and Charlie's restaurant.
Wasn't that Zuza Crackers?
That was Zuza Crackers.
Now it's called Charlie's.
Yeah, I think it's still Charlie's. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so when the day we were going to, I think it was 2 days before we were going to open, Steve was walking down from his office, and he walked up and he looked around, and he was really pissed. He's saying, "This is the team." I remember his words. "This is the team that I hired to build this book, build this restaurant, and we're going to be in Boston soon in Encore, and I've let you people be responsible for something, and this is what I get." Now there was a spot in the kitchen where you could look through. There was like a door, and you could look through into the kitchen. That's the part that bothered him most. So we fixed that. And that place is going on to be a huge success.
Yeah.
I mean, the bar, the restaurant will do tremendous numbers, and of course, the book was super successful. So that's Steve had certain things. He wanted things a certain way. If they weren't a certain way, you're going to hear about it.
I've heard that too. So you were the first, from what I'm told, to take futures on the Derby, and the first to take bets on the Academy Awards. Is that just something that you were passionate about, or why you thought it was a good business opportunity?
Well, future books on the Derby was not started by me. That was started. We were doing that at the Sands also.
Okay.
Bob Gregork, I tell you. So, I've done it before, but working for Bob at the Sands. The Academy Awards, fictitious odds, were done in town by also a guy I worked for at Bally's, was with Lenny Del Genio, who passed away probably 15, 20 years ago. But then I picked it up and I took it to another level with a lot of interviews, and didn't take any bets on it. Not the Oscars. We could never take bets on them, but it was great, coffee table conversation.
Right.
Now, when I went to DraftKings, we actually did take bets on it and do take bets on it now.
Right.
So
awesome.
In the UK, you can bet on it. I used to bet on it. I'll never forget. There's a movie that I'll never watch because I lost money on it. But it was the $1 Million Baby, I think it was called, or what was that movie? You know
$1 Million Baby.
And I bet on the Aviator to win the Oscars, and $1 Million Baby beat it out.
That's right.
But it's not too dissimilar now. I heard that the WWF or WWE is trying to get odds on wrestling. And everyone's like, no, that's ridiculous. It's scripted. It's known. The Oscars are known. It's a tighter pool of people, but somebody knows who's going to win that Oscar, right? There's the people that pick the awards. So you don't have any worry about...
I have a lot more worry on WWE than I do the Oscars. The Oscars are known by, Price Waterhouse, some accounting firm. And that is not, as far as as many years as I've watched the Oscars, thrown Oscar party. We had an Oscar party at Wynn every single year. Matter of fact, people would come in and say, the Laker game's on tonight. And I say, not tonight, it's not. It's Oscar night. So we'd have the red carpet and fill that place. We'd have a party all night and play games and stuff. But the thing about the Oscars is that does not leak. It never has leaked. And we've had, with DraftKings, we've taken in some pretty good bets on some director that's 30-1. I'm saying, well, somebody knows something? Nah, they don't. It was just taking a shot, maybe because there's some value there.
Yeah.
But I trust the Oscars a lot more. WWE is, we know the that they do know what the outcome is.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit more frightening to me. So we'll keep those limits quite low.
What about presidential elections?
We're doing it in Ontario, but we haven't done it here in the States. It's a sensitive area here. It really is. And I'd like to see it because it will write some pretty big numbers. I've had people call me, being in the business in town here, and say, I want to bet, a couple $100,000 on a presidential election. As we get closer, of course. So I'd like to see that change. But in the meantime, if you want to make a trip up to Toronto, we have it up there.
UK, you can do it as well.
UK, no, that's right.
Have you gamed that out about what it would be, not just the election, would be electoral votes, popular votes, state by state? How many things could you do? Could you tease that? Could you parlay that?
Yeah, you could parlay the who's going to win governor of Arizona with the presidential election. Yeah, you could parlay that.
I know Lisa's going to move us along to DraftKings in a minute, but what about horse racing? Is horse racing dead? Why are all the books getting rid of horse racing? In the UK, it's huge, right? I mean, sports betting on horse racing. Here, our book got rid of horse racing. If you go down to Circa, they build a book. They don't have horse racing. I say they don't have horse racing. They have Kentucky Derby and the 3 big awards, but they don't have the daily horse racing anymore. What do you think is happening with that? Is that a dying breed, so to speak, pardon the pun?
I think it's a mistake not to have it. When I was running the book here in town, I really, prided myself on bringing in horse racing players, and they would come. But I don't think the guys today have an interest for it. It just seems like they want to be involved in sports only and not the horse racing aspect of it. I see it as free money. You take 16 or 20% at every bet. You can't lose. When I go back to the early days when we were booking horse racing, guy would walk in and say, can I have a $100 exacta at Bay Meadows in the 7th race? And then we'd look at the odds and say, okay, this horse is 20 and this horse is 40. Can't give you 100, we'll give you 20. So we used to,
And he would take it.
He'd take it. Of course he'd take it. But, when Parimutuel came in the 1990s when we started, and I was part of that group that brought it in, it was like all we are is hosts now. We'll take anything that you want to bet. All the money goes into the track pool. So I just don't think that the guys in town that are running the books work hard enough at it, because I think it's something that needs to be here.
Yeah.
We were known for it. When you look at the sign, it says race and sportsbook, first word on the sign. So
who's still taking race books? South Point
does a good job.
Anybody else still doing?
Stations does a good job.
Stations is still doing all. Okay, that's where the El Cortez has it then, because
Yep.
of the stations.
Yep. And there's other places that have it. They just don't promote it. So when you walk into a book on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 9 to the action gets going at 4 for the most part. So from 9 to 3, the books are kind of empty. When you have horse racing up there, you're bringing a whole new crowd of players.
Yeah.
And so I'm just sorry that the handle's going down here in town. I just don't think there's just not enough work being put into it.
Makes sense.
Okay, so let's switch over to DraftKings. Something I think that was very interesting was that when you were part of launching the Wynn Las Vegas Race and Sportsbook app, so you were an early adapter of all this technology. So what happened? You were going to retire, and then you switched to DraftKings. What's the story?
Yeah, I'm 70 now, and at the time I was 65, so spent 40 years in the business. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's time to bow out. I'll do some outside consulting.
For anyone that can't see Johnny, Google him, because he doesn't look a day older than 55. So I'm blown away. I'm blown away you just said you're 70.
Well, thank
Wow.
you. Appreciate that. So, yeah,
Hold on. You're 70, Rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you look it.
Thank you very much. Rode hard and put away wet.
Really, you're 70?
Yeah.
All right, sorry, Johnny, go on.
yeah. So, I'll do some outside consulting. And so one of the owners of DraftKings, Matt Kalish, he's one of the 3 owners. He called me and wanted to have a meeting with me. And I did, right across the Wynn at the bar over there. It was about an hour meeting. He told me that he was looking for somebody. I was his choice to come over. And I said, okay, that's flattering, but, let me think about it. I had 2 more meetings with him. The first meeting was, I think, July. So it was July, August, September, 3 meetings. And on the third meeting, I agreed to come over. And, once I thought about it, here's Sportsbook going national, which I never thought was going to happen. And how could I miss out on being in this space? So I came over to DraftKings.
You've been there 3 years, you said, or 2 years? Oh, it's been there 5 years already. You've been there.
Uh-huh.
Has it grown the way you thought it was going to grow?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has. Jersey was the first spot.
Right.
And all the business was in Jersey. But now we are in 22 states digitally and another 2 states, actually more, a lot of those states all retail and digital. But we are in 2 states that are only retail, no digital at all. That's Mississippi's one, and there's one other.
Retail only?
Retail only.
Yeah. Basically how they do it in Nevada. With retail.
Exactly. Well,
you have to have retail in order to get the digital, I guess, the app.
yeah, Mississippi doesn't even have
An app.
It's
just all
for the
retail.
Mississippi patrons.
Wow.
That's strictly retail.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, that is.
For the people, you told me this a little bit earlier, but what are you doing at DraftKings? What have you done for the last 5 years?
Started the trading team.
So the trading team is who sets the odds.
That sets the odds. Going to be the face. The list of what the owner wanted me to do was an extensive list, but get the trading team going, get us some horse racing, be the face of the company, doing media for us when we need you. You want to be part of retail, whatever, just whatever you think you need to dive into, be part of it. And that's what I've done.
Yeah.
So I got the horse racing going, just got it going 3-4 weeks ago. That's the first time. Now we had a great team and that was involved, and we're up and running now. The trading team is a big team now. It's 50 U.S. traders, another 50 over in Bulgaria. So that's that was a monster undertaking. I'm still involved with the retail team. That's what opens up the new properties. I'm still involved in customer acquisition. Pretty much anything I want to put my nose in.
You got an office and headquarters here in Las Vegas that just opened up in the Southwest, right?
Yep. We opened up, me and one other guy were the first 2 employees here, Frank Kunovich. We are the ones that started putting the team together. We were over at Howard Hughes in a 3-room office. We crammed, I think we had 11 people at the time.
Wow.
Then we went to Town Square. Then pandemic hit. But we were there for about 3 years, and now the new office out on Durango and 215.
Pandemic wasn't good for anyone, so I'm not saying it was good. But for you guys, must have been real good, because everyone's sitting at home betting on Russian ping pong and Korean baseball. They got nothing. They got no idea. Your hold's got to go way up. I know I'm guilty of it. Like, you're sitting at home with nothing to do because everything's shut down. Oh, there's a Korean baseball game about to start at 2:00 in the morning. I'll bet on that. Did you see a lot of that?
You are correct, my friend. You are correct. Yeah, Russian table tennis, simulated NASCAR. I mean, we were looking for anything that someone could bet on, because everything closed. I remember, to me, that was unbelievable. Here we are. The March tournament is canceled.
Yeah.
And baseball is canceled, the upcoming season. And the NBA playoffs are canceled, as well as NHL playoffs. So what are we going to do? We're just out there trying to find anything that, if we could find a few people that would run down the strip, we would have probably booked that too. So, we that was actually, that year actually turned out to be a pretty good year for us.
Yeah, I know. I heard about that.
Well.
So, do you guys take big action at DraftKings?
We do.
Same as what you did at Wynn. You're pretty open to taking bigger action.
Yep, even bigger. Mattress Mac, he's a guy. He's a customer of mine. I put him in, so we've taken some really big bets from Mac.
What'd you say?
You love Mattress Mac.
Well, we had what was his name on the podcast? Anthony Curtis.
Yes.
Who talked at length about helping Mattress Mac balance his bets out and the exposure he had and all the crazy stuff. And I wouldn't say I love him, but he is pretty wild in terms of his sports betting appetite. So you guys take a lot of his action?
We have. Now remember, what Mac was doing was he had a promotion. You know
Right.
all this, right? He had a promotion, and so all he was doing was hedging his wagers. So he was going to either sell a lot of furniture and make a nice percentage off of that, or he was going to win his bet. So he was going to make money either way.
Right.
But he's such a nice guy. He's a super nice guy,
Yeah.
and I love dealing with him.
Problem, from what it seems like, I could be wrong on this, it seems like it's grown into more of a hobby now where he's betting on more things, not just to do with the Astros, right? Now he's betting on like football games and things that aren't linked to the furniture business. But none of my business. I mean, that's just what it started out as just the Astros win the World Series, right? And now it's morphed into something much.
Well, he bet with us Houston Cougars to win the NCAA championship. He had $1 million to win $9 million.
So he lost that pretty quick.
He lost that, but he also had a promotion.
He had a promotion tied to that. Okay,
yes.
I didn't know
so
that.
he ties promotions to other
Got
things.
it. Got
Yes.
it. What about the converse of taking the big bets? Do you ever restrict people based? I mean, that seems to be the buzzword in this industry at the moment, or a lot of people talk about it. Is that over inflated the amount of people that are being restricted, or is that a real thing you guys think about?
We do restrict people, and I'll be honest about it. I think sometimes we restrict them too much, but that's the way that DraftKings wants to do it.
Yeah.
I always like to give, as I mentioned before, I like to have a limit and let anybody have. The biggest problem with DraftKings is that let me explain what would happen in Nevada. If you had a wise guy come on the phone and bet, Sacramento Kings for $2,000, you would move the line, and he'd be the only one that would get the bet because you don't have to worry about all these bets coming in at once. You can, restrict everybody else and take the one bet, whoever's next in line. Can't do that at DraftKings. When the bets come in, they come in. They all come in at the same time. Oh, okay. So it makes it a little more difficult for our company to, say, okay, everybody gets.
That's a great point. I don't think people think like that because some of the single books, like, oh, we take big action. Yeah, but you're just one book, so you can move the line as soon as that bet comes in. What you just said is a good point.
Yeah. So we could get hit with $100,000-$200,000 like that from even guys that are restricted to a couple $100 in bets because we have so many customers.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That makes a lot more sense. What do you think about the industry as a whole? You think America is just going to become the mecca of gambling, or sports betting, I should say? It already is gambling, but sports betting, you think it's going to continue to grow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there'll be some.
Any states you think are definitely not going to happen? Besides Hawaii and Utah, which haven't even legalized.
Those two for sure.
Yeah.
I think probably almost everybody else should be on board. How long? I don't know. Well, you saw what happened with the California thing, right. Proposition 26 and 27, so that didn't go anywhere for either us or the Native Americans.
What were those propositions?
To legalize sports betting in California.
Yep. 26 would be where the Native Americans do it with an operator, and 27 was where we come in and do it, and both failed. So, it'll happen at some point. It's just some are going to be a little bit slower. Texas is a big one. We'll see what happens here. Florida's a big one. That's also a Native American country right now, as far as gambling. So
for all our friends that have asked me about this, when will DraftKings open in Nevada? And my employees.
I can't give you a definitive answer on that. There were a couple times I thought we were going to be here, but going through licensing is a process.
Yeah.
Have you gone through that?
for my own licensing.
And that was
for the
process,
plaza.
right?
Yeah, it was, but I was young
Yeah.
and didn't have as much. But now I'm licensed for Betway and Supergroup, and to do it in other states, it's a process. And that's just as a key employee. But here for the plaza, when I was 28 years old, so I didn't have a lot of information to share. But I could see why it'd be a very laborious process at this point.
Yeah. The ex-chairman Tony Alamo used to say, we're the gold standard, and we are. And we're the gold standard when it comes to proving things. It's a rigorous process. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll be here, though, at some point.
When are you going to write a book?
I don't know if I ever will. I personally am not the kind of guy that can just sit down and start jotting down notes and do it. If somebody wanted to do it with me or help me, I might, but I don't think I can do it on my own.
Have you ever read the book about Paddy Power and how it got started?
No, I have
Do we
not.
still have a copy of it? Let's get a
yeah.
copy. It's a fun book. You'll appreciate some of the stories.
Yeah, I'd
in
like to
there.
read it.
Some of the fun marketing that they used to do.
Do you have any mentees? Anyone who you are their role model?
As in, who's going to be the next face of sports betting in Las Vegas?
There's some that there's a lot who have worked for me through the years. I mean, Jason, who runs stations, I gave him his first jobs. Trish Lewandowski.
He was on our podcast.
Jason was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Trish Lewandowski, who just got nominated to the Hall of Fame, she worked for me.
Which Hall of Fame?
Jersey Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Which I've been inducted to too. So that's an honor. But here's the way I always ran my operation. And I would always tell my workers, whether you're a ticket writer, you're a supervisor, you're my assistant, my door is wide open. Never close my door ever, unless I'm having a meeting one-on-one with somebody. But I was open for anybody to either guide you through an issue you're having at work or guide you through an issue you're having at home. I mean, that's just the way I am. So I would hope that anybody that's ever worked for me would consider me to be their mentor.
Yeah, that's great.
That's a good answer. Well, I love the career advice that you shared already, but do you have any other?
If you work hard, you're going to get to where you want to get to. Now, I never had aspirations of running books. That's just the way I am. I'm a hard worker, so I work hard no matter what I do, whatever position I have, and I've been fortunate enough to, be able to keep on moving to another level. But my advice is for anybody in any business: if you work hard, you're going to be noticed. You're going to, you're going to there's going to be another move for you somewhere along the line. The other piece of advice I used to give to my workers is that if you want to gamble, do it for entertainment purposes. Don't dive headfirst into this, because you won't be working in town here too long.
You're 100% right. It's purely entertainment if you're gambling.
Who's your favorite sports team?
New York Mets, New York Giants. I'm from New York, so
You like Dan Jones?
He's a Eli Manning pick. I think he went to the Eli Manning camp. Eli Manning liked him. Eli Manning kind of convinced the Giants to go with him.
Oh, okay.
I think he's the kind of quarterback that is not sensational, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Last year, if you notice, the Giants are throwing passes 10, 11 yards. That's their whole game. So they can air it out a little bit. He gets a little more confidence. They get him a couple more, decent wide receivers. He may be okay.
But is he a Super Bowl winner? Because Derek Carr is not a Super Bowl winner.
Is Eli Manning a Super Bowl winner? He won 2.
Would I have said he's a Super Bowl winner? I don't know football enough for 2010 to have an opinion on that.
See, sometimes
now, if I look at the competition in those positions, I don't think Derek Carr can win a Super Bowl. I just didn't see it, but I could be wrong. You're right. But if you look at the last, again, I've only known football since 2007. So if you look at the last 15 years, every quarterback has been top 6, 7 in the league. There hasn't been, maybe I'm saying this out of space, but I can't think of anyone that's won that isn't a top 6 quarterback in the league.
it's more than just the quarterback. It's about a guy like Daniel Jones could win a Super Bowl because he'll follow the game plan and won't make a lot of mistakes. The question is, can the Giants get back to a defense when Lawrence Taylor was intact and Harry Carson? When you have a defense that can shut teams down when needed, and you can get a quarterback that can get you to score, to late score. It doesn't have to score. He doesn't have to throw.
That's the issue. Is that last-minute drive.
Yeah.
You got Mahomes, Justin Herbert. Those guys are just
pretty amazing.
Josh Allen, they're just next level. Even Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, they could do it in there, maybe still. But has Aaron Rodgers gone anywhere yet?
Not yet.
Wow.
What about the Raiders?
Jimmy Garoppolo, new quarterback. I like Jimmy. He's
been to a Super Bowl, but he wasn't a very good team.
Yeah. I don't know. The Raiders are the management here. I question the management here, but overall, they're exciting. I'm glad they're in town. They packed the place. Yeah. We've got a baseball team coming here now. We got a hockey team that does well.
You guys take a lot of liability on the Knights?
Not like this town.
No, it's crazy here.
Yeah, because we're, remember, we're national. So
right.
Not everybody's a Knights lover. In town here, everybody's a Knights lover.
Everyone's a Knights lover. So you're 70. You think you have a couple more years in DraftKings, another decade?
I'm doing everything I want to do.
You seem like
still
you
traveling.
love the business too much.
I love the business.
Right.
I just got back from Italy. I'm doing the things I want to do. And I don't know what I would do without work, to be honest with you. I like to play pickleball. I know you got a bunch of courts.
You're my guy.
Pickleball. I like to play golf.
I got an inquiry today from a guy who said he's got 250 people that want to come to Vegas twice a year to play pickleball. Everyone. And then I got a video this morning of Central Park's converted Central Park into pickleball courts. Everybody wants to be a part of it. 6 years ago, they all told me I was crazy.
No, you weren't.
Thank you. Thank you for telling me that.
Thank you so much for...
And thank you for coming downtown. And I hope if you ever... I hope you'll come see our new bar, our new developments down here. Come have a drink. Come check it out.
The bar looks terrific. I think it's gonna be a great place to be. To have a cocktail, and you ought to have a signature cocktail. I think.
Oh,
like in Venice, they have Aperol and white mixed with Prosecco.
Yeah,
Aperol spritz.
Right, Aperol spritz. You should have a signature drink. I don't know what it is, but I think
we got a couple. that we're working on, and they're going to be presented in carousel-shaped glassware. We got some fun things in the works. Can't reveal too much, but maybe another podcast for that.
Okay. Thank you for joining us on the corner of Main Street. Stay up to date with Johnny and DraftKings at DK Sportsbook.
We'll be back again soon, but in the meantime, please rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends about On the Corner of Main Street, and of course, follow us on social. On Twitter and Instagram, it's @PlazaPod, and on Facebook, find us at Plaza Podcast. Or go right to the top and tweet Jonathan @JonathanJossel. We'll see you next time from right here on the corner of Main Street.